Good morning, student. I hope you all are fine and doing your study. Okay, as we already know about the while loop, for loop, and I am again and again repeating that this is very important when you have to iterate something. Okay, iteration is just a repetition of a statement or a function, just a repetition. Fine. Today we will see how we can convert for loop into a while loop and while loop into a for loop. See here, this is one example is giving for x in range 5. Fine. It's written here for x in range 5. Print x. Now, how you will convert it into a while loop? You have to just initialize a counting variable. Fine. This x here you will see that x is not initialized, just they taken x in a range 5, but in the while loop you have to initialize it like x is equals to 0. Now after that, before the loop begins, you have to initialize the counting variable, and here you will see now 4 in range 5, so your loop will be less than 5 while x is less than 5. It will execute till the 5, and now as you know, in for loop automatically it increment by the one step. If step is not given in the for loop, is not mentioned, then by default an increment by 1. So you will see here that you have to remember this thing while converting it into a while loop. You have to increment the counting variable also. Okay, so in every iteration it will increment by 1 as long as it would be less than 5. Now print x. So you will see here the same thing we are doing here in the 3 lines, and the for loop we needed only a 1 line. Fine, but you should know how to convert for loop into a while loop. Okay, we will see now some question based on that, and I'm telling you this is very important. Already some question came from this topic, how to convert for loop into a while loop and while loop into a for loop. Fine. So if you see the vice versa of this, you just remember the question is this one now. Fine. In when you convert it into a for loop, what you have to do? Just take which one is your initializing or a counting. Just remember that which one is your counting variable. Include that counting variable here. Find in range. From here you will get the range. If your step is incremented by 1, no need to define in the for loop. But if it incremented by some other number, then define here 5 comma 2 like this. And in for loop, you have to mention 3 things: start, stop, and step. Fine. If it's only one thing is mentioned, that means is just a stop value is given, and it will start from 0, and by default it will take one step further. Fine. So I hope everyone get a conversion, both the while to for and for to while. Now look at some question based on this. See here, question: how many times okay, we will see conversion first, then later on we will do this one. Yeah, you see here, convert the following for loop into a while loop. For in range 1 0 0. Now if I modulus 4 is equals to 2 and print I mod 4 is equals to 2, then you have to converted into a while loop. As I told you, first initialize this variable. Here you will say it will start from a 1. So I value would be 1. If 1 is not mentioned here, you will say I is equals to 0. So I is equals to 1, and the loop will go till less than 100. So while I is less than 100, the whole code will remain like this only. Fine. And by default it will get incremented by 1. So you will mention here. Now we will run this both the loops in the IDLE and see what we will get. The same answer or something else. Yeah. We just write down into, yeah, we will open a new file so that we will do it in one. Yeah. For I in range. Fine. Now we will write down range, that is 1 to 100. Close the bracket, then semicolon. Fine. Now second line is if modulus I modulus 4 is equals to 2, then print I. Fine. Now okay, it will just print I mod comma 4 comma 2 is equals to 2. The green one is just a string. Fine. Now we will save it. For loop conversion, just write down name of program, conversion. Okay, now we save it with the conversion. F5 we will run. Now you will look at the output, because the program is saying that you have to the loop will go till start from the 1 until 100, and if modulus 4 is equals to 2, fine, first we take the modulus of 2. 2 mod 4 is equals to 2. Fine. The remainder will come 2. So it will give you every time the output. Whenever the output will come true, it just to take a mod of that number. Fine. Now you will see here, if you divide 6 by 4, it will give the modulus 2. Then again 10 2. Fine. So loop is saying that I modulus, whenever I modulus 4 is equals to 2, it will print that number. Fine. So these are the number 2, 6, 10 and so on. Till 100 we are getting the same thing. Fine. So you see it in for loop. Now we will convert it into a while loop. What you have to do in the while loop? Just initialize your I variable. Fine. I is equals to 1. Now I is equals to while loop will go while I is less than 100. Fine. If condition will be same, now you have to mention that I is equals to I plus 1. Yeah, I is equals to I plus 1. Fine. Now we will save it. Okay. Run this module. Syntax error. Okay, we forget to put it into a bracket. That's why it's giving an error. Fine. Yeah, the same answer you are getting. So we learn how to convert for loop into a while loop. Fine. Now we will see some other questions. The next question is again two for loops are giving in this. Find two for loops. For I in range 10, for j in range I, then print dollar print now. So you will see here in the first one, I initialized value is not given, so I is equals to 0. Okay, for this I will be, when loop will execute, I would be less than 10. Now again j will be 0 because initialized value is not given, and this loop will go till I. Okay, then print dollar, print this thing. I hope you will get the conversion, how to convert any for loop into a while loop. Fine. Next question you will solve yourself. Look at the question now. For a in a I range, here three things are given: start, stop, and last one is your step. Okay, print a. Now, so initialized value of a is given. A is equals to 25, and stop value is also given. A is less than 500. Then print a is equals to a plus 25. Fine. So loop will execute like this. Now next, rewrite the following for loop into a while loop. For a in range 99, again the same question is given. Now we will see the vice versa. If while loop is given, how to convert it into a for loop. So you can note down these question. I am giving you 1 or 2 minutes. Look at the question carefully and do it yourself. If you practice more, you will get more. Now come to question number 16. Yeah. I is equals to 0 while I is less than 100. If I modulus 2 is equals to 0, print I is even, else print I is odd, and I will get incremented by 1. Now, for I in a range 0, because I is initialized as a 0, so no need to mention the value or initialized value here, because by default in a for loop initialized value is 0. If I mod 2 is equals to 0, then print even, and else print I is odd. Fine. Two conditions are giving over here. Now one more thing you will see, that while loop, when we execute a while loop, it takes more coding. Okay, more line of codes. In programming it takes, consume a more line of code, and in a for loop the line of code are less. So it's better if you can do your program in a for loop, then use for loop. Fine. Next question, look at the next question. Convert the following while loop into a for loop. Fine. Here char is equals to nothing, empty, just empty. Print, press tab, enter to stop iteration. One variable iteration is giving, that is that the value is assigned is 0. While not char equals to here T is for tab, and not iteration would be greater than 99. Then print continue, char equals to row input, iteration plus equals to 1. Fine. Now we have to convert it into a for loop. The first two statement will remain same as it is. Fine. There would be a conversion here in these two lines. You will see here, for iteration, take a variable iteration in range 99. Fine. Here you will see the loop will go greater than till the time 99. Okay, so value is 99 come from here. If it's not char, you see here not char is equals to is mentioned here only. Fine. You have to do it in a separate line, then the code will remain same till the end. Only iteration plus equals to, by default it's given in the for loop, so no need to write this line also. Okay. Now again note down these question. I'm waiting. Look at, pause your video and do these questions. Okay. Now question, these are answer are giving over here, but you have to do it yourself. And I'm saying 1, try it on your ideally also, because when you do something theoretically it just uh, wash out after 1 or 2 days, but if you do it practically it will never wash out. Okay, so do it practically also. Now one more question we have to see, that how we will get the output. Fine, so here are some loops are given, and question is that how many times will Python execute the code inside the following while loop. So code is giving to you, and answer they will ask you for the output. So you will see the code that I is equals to 0 while I is less than 0 and I is greater than 2. Print hello, I is equals to I plus 1. Fine. If you see here, initialize value is 0 and this loop will execute till the value I is greater than 0 and less than 2. Fine, and every time the value will get 1 and print hello, but you will see I will never be less than 0, so it will execute it at how many times? 0 times. Fine. Now look at the next question here. Again, here value is given I should be less than 10,000 and greater than 0 and 1. Okay, here because our initialized value is 1, so it's giving said that if value is 0 then also and 1 then also. Print hello, I equals to 2 into I, so what will be the value of I? It would be a 14. Fine. Now look at, okay, so we done some question, and we focus on basically today conversion. So conversion is also important. If someone asks convert while loop into a for loop or for loop into a while loop, so you will do it in your programming. Okay, sometimes it happens then programmer they want that your manager want that line of code would be less, so so you will convert while loop into a for loop, and it's depend on the programming which loop they wanted, so you should know the conversion. Fine. Now we will finish today's lecture here. Have a good day and study hard.